Okay, so you open this one up, man. This is you. You're gonna open this video up.
What is Web3 really? That's what we're here to discuss today, and I'm here to break it down for you and tell you the pure and honest, simple truth. It's just a buzzword. Web3 is a current word that everybody's using. If you've been in crypto as long as I have since 2017, you've seen these iterations. When I first got into crypto, it was blockchain, not Bitcoin. And then a few years ago, it was Bitcoin, not blockchain. That was all that the banks and institutions cared about. And now Facebook and all these other big entities are telling us it's Web3. It's all a part of the same movement. And what Web3 really is ownership over your own data and assets.
And you know what you're saying here, Dylan, which I absolutely love? He's bringing it back down to being educated, because things change all the time. We think that things are different, but it's the very same thing. And if you're looking to develop an e-learning program or online course to educate your community and impact your community, and you're trying to figure out how to do that in 90 days or less, we have a free masterclass for you that is linked below. A gift from us to you. So let's dive even deeper into what Mr. Dylan Grabowski just talked about. So the first big thing is DeFi, right? We hear that word all the time. You know, DeFi, what the heck is DeFi, man?
Yeah.
Break it down. What is this DeFi thing?
So everything we're about to talk about right now is all a bunch of similarly jargony type of words that are all part of an umbrella of what Web3 is. Web3 is enabled by blockchain technology, and one of the most useful use cases when it comes to blockchain technology is DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance. It's really the ability to earn interest and earn an income based off of your assets that you own. Remember, we were speaking about wallets earlier, and when you put Ethereum or other tokens onto your wallet, that means that you own those assets. The bank isn't holding them for you. My brokerage firm like Fidelity or Vanguard isn't holding my stocks on my behalf. I am holding my cryptocurrency assets. And when we put our dollars into a savings account, we earn a little bit of interest, right? So when it comes to DeFi, you're using your actual assets and you're able to earn interest on them because people are able to borrow and lend from those assets that you stored on a blockchain network's decentralized finance protocol.
That makes a lot of sense, Dylan. So let's tell everybody just one layer, just an extra one without getting too big into the rabbit hole, the difference between centralized and decentralized, and one more thing, which is why, because you talked about, you know, getting some percentage back like a savings account, right? Why they're a little bit more elevated on DeFi versus centralized.
Sure. So the colloquial term for centralized institutions is called CeFi, centralized finance. And typically these are entities that have a business that's located somewhere. Coinbase is a perfect example. Binance is a perfect example. While Coinbase is located in the US and Binance is located all over the world, these are still entities that have a single point of failure. And you also have to trust them to custody your assets. So if I want to hold my Bitcoin on Coinbase, I no longer hold that Bitcoin myself. My name as a part of an accounting ledger has that amount of Bitcoin associated with it, but Coinbase is actually holding that Bitcoin for me.
Okay.
So these, and then we run into other issues of actors who might not be, you know, working in the best interest of people, as we saw with FTX, as we saw with Celsius, and a lot of the other kind of big name collapses in 2022, which is the antithesis of what decentralized finance is. Because DeFi runs on protocols. There's no central point of failure when it comes to a blockchain network because they're decentralized architectures. So if Coinbase goes down, then I can no longer gain access to my Bitcoin. The only way that I wouldn't be able to gain access to my cryptocurrency on a blockchain network is if the actual blockchain network goes down itself. And the longer these networks run, it's called the Lindy effect. The longer something is around, the more likely it is to survive.
Interesting.
So when you have a DeFi protocol, you're storing your assets on this network and you're not storing them at a custodial institution. And so this is where users are able to earn yield. When you deposit your dollars into a bank account, you get like 1% interest, if that.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, right?
Because what the bank does is it takes those funds and then lends them out to people who want to borrow them to buy a home, start a business, what have you. And for putting that capital to work, you get a portion of that interest. However, with a bank, it's a very bloated, large institution that takes a lot of those fees. And with decentralized protocols and DeFi, you're able to put your assets to work for people to borrow and lend against, and you removed the intermediary, the third party, the bank, and now you're working directly with the individuals who are borrowing and lending your assets, and the protocol is making sure that that runs smoothly, not the bank.
See why he's the guru? See why he's the guru? You gotta watch every single video part of this series. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into the second thing of what is Web3 really, and it's the DAO. We're not talking about the DAO and the NASDAQ. We're talking about the DAO DAO. Dylan, take it away.
So now we're going to talk about another element under the umbrella of what Web3 is, and that's the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization. These are essentially ways for people to agglomerate and to form a community based off of something that they believe in. Last year, one of the 7 copies of the Constitutions was put up for sale by a private holder, and a group of anonymous internet strangers came together and pooled a bunch of money together to be able to compete for purchasing the copy of the Constitution at an auction. And this is a group of individuals who wanted to collaborate and pool their money together in order for an entity to be able to purchase this so that a random group of internet strangers could lay claim to the US Constitution. They did not win, but this is a perfect example. Another example of a DAO could be like one that I participate in, which is called Grant Shares. It's a community funding DAO. We manage a treasury, and if somebody wants to build a dApp or an application, whether for fun or to help make the world a better place, they'll submit a proposal for a grant, and a handful of individuals, myself and maybe a dozen or so more, will review the application, and if it's something that we think has an opportunity to be built and that a lot of people will use, we'll vote to distribute funding. And this can go from things like the Constitution to things like delivering grants to even buying NFTs that are funny pictures that people want to own a little bit of a portion of that they necessarily might not have been able to afford beforehand. So that's all a DAO is it's a way for a group of people to come together and use their digital assets to weigh their voice when they vote on whether they should purchase the Constitution or not.
See, that's really cool. I mean, if you look at it, it's really bringing community together, right?
Yeah.
And there's different purposes involved as well, right? And you're collaborating and working with people all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And people that you don't know, but for a common purpose that you believe in.
Correct.
Right?
And you use the tokens that you hold to vote. So if I own 10,000 ETH and you own 1,000 ETH, if we vote on a different subject matter, I'm gonna have more of a weight in vote because I own more ETH.
Interesting. DAOs, everybody, another big thing underneath Web3 and understanding how that is part of that as well. Let's go ahead and talk about another type of community.
Yes.
Right? A community where a lot of us maybe have already interacted with, and that's the Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
All right, here we go. Ooh.
Another buzzword.
Oh, the Metaverse. I tried to purchase metaversity.com, but it was already taken.
Yeah, you're not the only genius.
Yeah, I know.
So the Metaverse is just another buzzword. This is something that is not new to anybody who is from our generation or a younger generation who grew up playing video games. If you think of The Sims, that was a 3D world in which people would just move and operate and live in their home or go to work. And essentially that's what the Metaverse is creating. It's creating a 3D world for people to be able to visit and interact with one another, not too dissimilar from the types of video games we've already played. However, what the Metaverse does now is it allows people to transact in value because they can use their cryptocurrencies when they go into these metaverses. And you're using this new technology and applying it to brand new business models. For example, there are banks that are creating metaverses because 2020 happened everybody had to stay home from work, and we transitioned to still needing to be able to perform business operations without being able to go to the bank and look someone in the face. Now you can sit in a 3D lobby, and by the time you're able to chat with your banker, their Zoom call will pop up and you can have a one-on-one face-to-face, but while you were waiting, you got to explore this little lobby. And that's what the Metaverse is offering. Is it groundbreaking and revolutionary? Yes and no.
Sure.
It's not something we haven't seen before. It's just a new way that we're integrating this new technology into existing business models.
Absolutely, and you already see companies like Facebook. I mean, heck, they changed their name to Meta, for crying out loud. And one thing that you maybe have already seen in some of our other videos that we produced here on this YouTube channel is how Facebook, for example, in the Metaverse, you can learn, right? So they're applying e-learning, online learning, education within the Metaverse itself.
Exactly,
right?
And one of the cool use cases I covered the Neo ecosystem. This is how I learned about blockchain because of this particular blockchain project. And one of our creators is actually building a metaverse so that you can share your NFTs in an art gallery. So when you buy NFTs, you can set them up on the walls as you want and then invite your friends into this 3D room, and then you can curate an experience and share your art with them.
See, isn't that awesome? And by the way, this is a perfect transition because the next big point that we want to talk about are NFTs, and what are they? So Dylan, what an amazing transition, my friend. Was that planned or what? But no, I mean, that is really cool to see how the Metaverse is applying that, right? So, and with that NFT example as well. So talking about NFTs, the heck are NFTs?
NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. You might have heard them because there were silly cartoons that you saw last year that were selling for ridiculous sums of money. And that's just because it was a speculative moment in this very speculative industry. We referenced in an earlier video that crypto is still young. We still have a long way to go from here to here. And in between that, we're gonna have rapid movements of up and down parabolic movement. And that's what we saw with NFTs last year. But NFTs are really simply just a hash on a blockchain, which says that this wallet owns this identifier, and a URL, which points to the picture. And that's all an NFT is. It's a really simple concept that can be used in new and innovative ways. So what people are doing with NFTs today is their artists are creating series and selling them directly to their fans. If you own one of these NFTs, maybe you're an artist, maybe you can engage your community a little bit more. So let's say I love Taylor Swift and she sells 10 NFTs and I am lucky enough to buy one of the 10. Taylor Swift can now offer her NFT holders unique things like one-on-one concerts, or the ability to go to a lunch with her and her team, or any unique way that an artist wants to integrate their most hardcore fans and make them feel more appreciated. It's an easier way to target the audience that believes you the most.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, you hit the nail on the head, and I think NFTs are super, super cool, right? Again, you have to be educated on them. Again, a lot of people have seen these NFTs go to the moon, right? And then people are getting in, like, I want to get rich now, and all of a sudden everything crashes. So, you want to research the project, you want to research who's building it, you want to research, does it have utility, right? So NFTs, very similar to cryptocurrency, I would say, where, I'm seeing ones that maybe have some utility towards them, may bring a little bit more value as well. It's like you can use an NFT to, like you said, give like unlocking a box of exclusive activities.
Absolutely.
Like you gave that example with Taylor Swift. So NFTs is just one idea that came to my mind is a lot of companies are, this is just an application. I don't know of anybody doing this, but just an idea. This is where, NFTs allows for companies to maybe start thinking out of the box how they can bring a more exclusive experience, to their customers. So, for example, let's say I'm in an organization that's dependent on inventory, right? One of the things that kills a lot of businesses is that they can't fulfill orders due to lack of inventory. So if you don't have inventory, maybe you can give an NFT saying as a thank you so much for waiting for your product to come, and this NFT will unlock something in the future.
For sure.
Right,
and,
you know?
And NFTs can represent so much more. So as we move forward with talking about cryptocurrencies and blockchains and real world integration, eventually we could migrate to a world where the deed to my car is stored on a public blockchain as opposed to at the DMV, and proving that I own the deed to my car could actually be an NFT, where the deed is stored on the internet somewhere and I own the NFT that proves that I own this deed to this vehicle. And one last thing, the difference between NFTs and other cryptocurrencies you've heard of is Bitcoin and Ethereum are called fungible. 1 Ethereum equals 1 Ethereum. I can trade an Ethereum that was mined on the first block with an Ethereum that was mined in the most recent block, and they will both be worth 1 Ethereum, which is worth however much it's worth today. Non-fungible tokens means 1 for 1. I cannot trade this NFT for another NFT because they are not fungible.
Interesting, and that makes a lot of sense now. It just all these things are getting so clear. I love this. Which let's go to the 5th thing, which is jargon words, right? Let's start clearing more things up. I mean, there's so much jargon out. I mean, this is in a way jargon as well.
Correct.
DeFi and DAO and NFT and Metaverse and whatnot. So let's talk about some of the other kind of typical jargon words or phrases that we hear. Let's break them down really quickly.
I think if you're going to get into the crypto and Web3 space, it can be a little bit intimidating because you go onto Twitter, you read a blog, and you hear things you've never heard before. PND, rugged, all NFTs, all of this is jargon, but at the end of the day, these are things that are just replicating what has already happened in our lives. Non-fungible tokens are not new. We used to purchase tickets to go to music events, and that one ticket could get me into that one event. That is a non-fungible ticket right there. It's only available for this event. So when we're talking about jargon, you just have to embrace the fact that the internet produces memes and it produces acronyms and weird abbreviations for words. And as you're learning a new subject matter, you just have to expect that you're gonna come across jargon. So some things you might hear are pump and dump, which is of course when somebody purchases a cryptocurrency and then they shill it, which basically means they go to their large networks and they tell you why this is the next great coin that's gonna 1000x, but in reality, they're selling it while they're shilling it because they're, basically dumping on their audience. Another term.
So that's PND.
That's PND. That's pump and dump.
And dump. Right.
Yeah. So that's where you're pumping up the price of a token by
pulling out,
and
right?
you yourself are dumping the token onto the market.
Absolutely.
And then there's another kind of version of this which is called rugged.
Yeah.
And that's when somebody creates a project and maybe they put millions of dollars of liquidity and value into it, and then once a bunch of people start buying into that project, they'll take out all the equity, they'll take out all the coins, they'll sell it, and they'll disappear and they'll abscond.
And that comes from the phrase getting the rug pulled under your feet, right?
Correct.
You're standing, somebody pulls a rug and you just fall on your face, So rugged, I mean, heck, I've been rugged, you've been rugged. If you've been in the crypto world, more than likely, you've been rugged, right?
Yes.
It's part of the learning experience when you're not fully educated on what you're doing and not understanding how you should research something to see if this project or if the people behind or organization behind this project are reputable people as well, right? So another one is pump your bag, right? We have pump and dump, but this is probably my favorite one. Pump your bag, bro. So what does pump your bag mean, Dylan?
When you want to get your bag pumped, I have purchased probably way too much crypto than I can afford, and I am dying for the price of this to go up. And that is a very speculative movement, and this is something that I warn people against. When you're researching a token, if it makes you feel too good when you're reading about it, maybe don't buy it right then and there, because this is when people can act irrationally, put too much than they can afford to lose into something. It's happened to the best of us, it's happened to me, it's happened to many people I know. And another term similar to pump your bag is to the moon.
To the moon!
We're gonna take our currencies to the moon. The price is gonna skyrocket 10,000x. But I think ultimately, when it comes down to these terms we're talking about and all the jargon, a lot of things in cryptocurrency are based off of things that have already happened in our life. A lot of these principles can be talked about in markets dating back hundreds of years.
Oh yeah.
There's no such thing as a new scam. There's just a reiteration and improving on old scams.
100%.
When you're learning about this jargon, try not to feel like you're being told not to participate or you're being left out of this new industry, because a lot of these terms are something that you're already familiar with, most likely.
Absolutely, and every industry has its own jargon, right?
Correct.
Every industry, business, everything has its own jargon, and the way that people, shortcut what they're trying to talk about. And one last one is, and this is specifically for, I would say the NFT world, is building. Are you building? Which basically means, are you building a project? Are you an artist building up a project, building NFTs that you're getting ready to sell, right?
Yeah, and so this is a catch-all term. When you're building, you can be an artist creating your brand new series that you want to share with your community. You could be building a brand new application. You could be building a content creation platform. Really, if you're just using these new technologies and pushing forward the envelope, whether you're a developer, a marketer, however you want to use these technologies to build and implement into your business, then that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely, my friend. So, I want to say one last one too, which again, we use this in the business terms as launching something. We call them drops. Right?
Yeah.
Are you going to drop something? Which is basically like a launch, building something up saying, hey, we're about to have this huge drop of some big project, stay tuned, right? So it's hyping up a drop, a launch of maybe a new NFT or a new crypto or something else that you're doing. But if you're looking to develop an e-learning program or online course so you can create education around this and sell this to the world, and you're trying to do that in 90 days or less, we have a free gift for you, which is a masterclass which teaches you just that. And until then, we want to give you a big thanks for
The likes and subscribes.
boom.